welcome in everybody, and everybody that's here. Welcome in, welcome in. So earlier today, I was talking about. Oh, nice. Sup, Infinite? So I was talking about Collective Shout, and I think I may have gone a little overboard in scaring people about how much power they wield. We just need to be aware of how much power they wield and how they use it. We have weathered storms like this before. And for those of you that don't know, that weren't there for this afternoon, Collective Shout is attempting to censor people through payment processors. And unfortunately, there's not very many payment processors out there. In fact, from my research, I can only find 4 that really count. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, and Discover. And all this is doing is letting, people know how much power they have or can wield. And we have to be wary of people trying to wield the power in a different way. That's really what it is just paying attention, being aware, and making your voice heard. I want people to be aware of how damaging this could be to any form of media. If you like romance novels, well, potentially under those rules, under the rules of Collective Shout, romance novels would be out. You have to have media with some kind of conflict. And that's just the way of it. You have to have conflict. And these people want women and children out of any kind of conflict. We can't win that battle. Because then you cheapen their plight. You cheapen them. So or you just don't have women and children featured in any kind of media. Not even people playing as. You're not going to win that fight. They've tried this before. I mean, how many times have we tried to cancel, the Satanic Panic in the 80s? Yeah, it is wild. It is absolutely wild that a small group from friggin' Australia deems what we can buy and sell in America. Hey, if that's fine, if they win that battle over there, fine. We can geolock things. But the fact that they're using whatever power they have to leverage it against Visa, MasterCard, your average debit card, it's Visa or MasterCard. And they're pretty much the same company. Maybe they actually, don't share profits, but they're pretty much act exactly the same. I don't know many people that think of them separate. I don't. To me, it's always Visa, MasterCard. It's not Visa and MasterCard. It's like they're one company. Like friggin' Warner Brothers Discovery was, and now they're splitting it back up. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm not going to talk all night about that. I've already done my 2 hours on that. But I just don't want people thinking I'm a scaremonger. I don't want people thinking that, the sky is falling. It's like, no, you need to be made aware that this is the kind of power that people wield nowadays. That small groups can wield outsized power. And they are going to try and talk for you. You have to let your voice be heard. You can't let some special interest group of whatever stripe. Right. You have to make your voice heard. That's the big thing. Is that if you disagree with these policies, if you disagree with all of this, what's up, XO? How's it going? Make a call into Visa. Look it up for yourself. See what it is. See if you agree with it or not. And call Visa. If you can get through, because apparently, there's been a brigade on that. But I'm not calling for violence against Collective Shout. I say use the same tools they tried to use against them. Make your voice heard the same way they made theirs heard. There's a lot of people online talking about violence and all of this BS, and I think that's wrong. Right. But with how loosely they worded what, Visa and MasterCard will and won't let happen, it can take romance novels. It can take your run-of-the-mill fantasy novels because it depicts women and children in danger. How are you going to depict a castle siege without putting actual families in danger? You can't. Not and have it any way be realistic. I mean, obviously, I can keep going on about this. I just don't know how much you guys want to hear it. You know, I mean, like I said, I've already talked 2 hours on this today. I can keep going. I just don't want to be seen as somebody that has to take everything seriously. But I also, when I see something that is serious, I want people to be made aware and talk about it. Let your feeling, be informed. Right? I may not read them, but I think everybody has the right to read whatever they want. I mean, that's the thing is that I grew up on comic books and the Comics Code Authority and how restrictive that was on comic books. But people found ways around it. We always do. But I mean, not half, all of Stephen King's library, everything he's ever written would be gone. I grew up on comics. That's where I got my moral compass. I mean, that might sound weird, but I sure as hell didn't have good, how do I put this? Good examples at home. Yeah, Eye of the Dragon. It depicts children in danger, doesn't it? I mean, every single Stephen King novel that I've ever read depicts women or children in some kind of danger. Well, Eye of the Dragon is the fairy tale. I mean, one of the brothers gets locked up in a friggin' dungeon for years. And it started when he was like 12. That's what I'm saying is that this is a very slippery slope. It might sound hyperbolic, but this is the first time I've seen it actually be this successful. I mean, the Satanic Panic. People freaked out, and yeah, D&D was maligned for better than 10 years. I mean, it almost killed it, but it didn't. And then you have music, when they tried to friggin' censor that. They put the, warning, explicit lyrics on the, on it. I mean, Walmart even at the time decided that they weren't going to sell explicit lyric. Except for now they do, because they lost too much money. And I think that's really what's going to happen with this Visa MasterCard bullshit. Is that they're going to realize how much money they're going to lose in payment processing. As much as I hate to say it, adult games through Steam are a major... I didn't realize until I took the filter off. Like, on Steam, I have the filter of adult content. I just don't want adult content. The explicit stuff. I didn't realize how many games were top trending. Okay, sorry. Yeah, ads. Don't even get me started on... They're censoring us, the smaller creator. And see, that's what, I think that's what really gets me is that it's censoring the small-time people. Not AAA games. Not giant publishers. I mean, I'll wait for the ad break to be over. Sorry. I had this huge thought that I meant to put out there before, and I forgot to put it out there. And it's a big deal to me. It is a big deal that Visa has the temerity to tell us what we can and can't buy with our money. I don't want to keep you waiting, but I also don't want to, lose people during the ad, which I don't understand why Twitch doesn't just pause it or let people go back, for ads. Or maybe they do now. I don't know. I mean, you miss stuff. Just waiting, waiting, waiting. Well, anyway, I had a lot of fun playing Bigfoot, right? I forget that I normally don't start as quickly as I do, and the ad normally runs before I actually switch it over. 8 out of 8? Are you talking about ads? Or were they good ads? Were they 8? No, because that would have been 8 out of 10. Well, supposedly, your guys are back. Yeah. So, that ad is only supposed to, ads are only supposed to run once an hour. It's 5 minutes worth of ads. What's up, Nine Tails? Right. They're only supposed to run once an hour. That's what I have it set to. I did as much control as I can over the ads. Sorry. But what I was going to say before, this is something I forgot to say earlier, was, I set it at a point where it's once an hour, it's 3 minutes of ads, or 5 minutes. 3-minute ad. It is a 3-minute ad once an hour. And it maintains that I keep the 55% share. Or 50% share, whatever it is. I think it's 55. That's the idea. Is just, maintaining that 55% share. Because if I set it any lower, I only get 30%. They're already paying me very little on ads. So I want to keep the 55% for, subscriptions and stuff too, which I should keep that, but I don't know enough about this. I'm still pretty new. But, one of the things I don't think Visa's really understanding is that they had the temerity to tell us what we can and can't spend our money on. Yet they're the ones that help launder money for drug cartels, that help fund, foreign agencies. They help do all this other stuff. And yet they're telling us that we're doing wrong when they don't do proper checks and balances on whose money they have running through their hands. Gee, I start talking about Visa and gossip's got to go. Sorry, I'm boring you. But yeah, people don't really think it's a joke. Gossip, don't take me seriously. I just don't understand how people can, in the upper echelons of these businesses, not realize that, they help criminals, and yet they're cracking down on our entertainment when they're out there funding real world drug dealers. Jeez, fine. I'll stop talking about Visa. I'm sorry. People keep leaving. Again, it's a joke. Don't take me seriously. Right. But see, I think the other thing is it's criminals they control. Ha. It's one of those things that I don't know enough about. I mean, I understand how money laundering works. Yeah, maybe. That would be great. I'd love to fix it. I still think that we need to come up with an actual use for cryptocurrency, digitize the dollar, and take banks out of the equation. So you don't need a payment processor. So you just give direct funds. Where you talk directly to your bank, who isn't actually owned by Visa. That kind of stuff. Financials are really weird. Yeah, let's circle back to D&D. Go right ahead. What's your question? And I know Ninetails knows a little bit too, so. And I know Jaded Elfie knows quite a bit. Or Jaded Elfie. Whatever. Right. You hadn't heard of the Satanic Panic? Okay, so back in the turn between the 70s and 80s, there was this whole Satanic Panic that therapy. This is a hard one to explain. Okay, this isn't a quick thing. So basically, they were using D&D was an allegory for Satan worship, for devil worship. I know I've heard of it. I don't think I've ever actually watched it, or if I did, it was a long time ago, and I barely remember it. Oh yeah, but everything was Satan back then. Music, movies, and what they found out was is that some of the first cases where people were talking about these Satan worshipers and sacrificing people and children to Satan was all because somebody figured out how to do hypnotherapy and implant memories. Like they were legitimately screwing these people up for life to make money. It was all fake. It's where you get the joke of, people in a graveyard, trying to raise the dead or give offerings to Satan. That they're generally dressed like metalheads. Or, death metal rockers and stuff like that. Oddly enough, the Satanic Panic actually spawned death metal. By trying to enforce a certain thing, the pendulum swung the other way. Really, who aren't we talking about? I just watched a video on the rebranding of Mark Zuckerberg and how he went from lizard man to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu boxing master. Or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and boxing master. How he went from being the most alien thing to, right? To, being just like you, even though, he's not. He's a joke. He's trying to be relevant and he's not. Well, okay, here's the thing. Most people, when they become when they're a CEO, have to have classes on how to restrict their speech. And, they might sound robotic because they have to be all uber professional. Zuckerberg started that way, and he had to have classes on how to be human. I think that's the bigger story there is that Zuckerberg, the longer he's been in the limelight, has actually become more human. It's learning. And again, not to sound too conspiracy theory David Icke, but his program, Facebook, was launched, and the day before a DARPA program that was almost identical to it, which Defense Advanced Research Projects, DARPA Association. It's a funded thing. Oh, David Icke? Yeah, Lizard Man himself, or not Lizard Man, but he's the one that everybody always talks about, lizard people and stuff like that. There's lizards living among us. Well, if they really were, he'd be dead. Or maybe they didn't kill him because then we'd know. See, that's the problem is that, again, you can't really take it seriously. Or maybe you should. I don't know. I just think he's somebody that watched They Live one too many times and took it way too seriously. That's just me. But, Zuckerberg is one of the few people I know. It's on YouTube. Like, you can literally just watch it through YouTube. If you have premium, it's not even with ads. But DARPA, a U.S. Defense Advanced Projects. I mean, these guys are bleeding edge think tank for defensive. Right. See, and I think it's perfectly valid to buy premium. But they were creating a program to basically do what Facebook does. Have people put in their data so they can share with their friends and make it all seem like really happy and everything like that. Like, this was a defense advanced research project. Oh, nice. Yeah, I knew what you meant. And when Facebook came out, they canceled the project because he did it. Now, there is conspiracy theories that I don't really know how well founded they are, that they decided that it wouldn't play well in the military to have this program if it was linked to them. So potentially they kicked it out there for the real world. The only problem is that we have enough evidence prior to that he and the Winklevoss twins were working on it in college long before DARPA, or long before DARPA canceled their project. So it's parallels. We have parallel inventions all the way back in history. It just means that if Zuckerberg and the Winklevosses hadn't come up with it, or if DARPA hadn't come up with it, somebody else would have. Because, MySpace was basically the same thing. I think that would be perfectly fine, depending. We get away with a lot as long as we don't do it too egregiously. I don't think it's going to be a problem. So what's on all your minds? What's on y'all's minds tonight? Like, is there anything special you guys want to talk about? Just out of curiosity. When we rise? Okay. Brains. Come on. Everybody knows the zombie genre is just too realistic now, so we have to kind of not really care because there's too many people out there that are just seeming like zombies. What's the quote? When the world ended, they wouldn't look up from their screens to even see it happening. Can't remember what old sci-fi that was. See, I was bullied a lot in school. And I think modern day bullies are very different. To be perfectly honest, because the bullies I dealt with, you had a fist fight, you got over it, you got a little bullied, you got pushed into a locker. These were things you could recover from. But now with the advent of social media, people recording everything. Right. That's what I'm saying is that, even the difference between you and, your age and my age, Nine Tails, shows just because I was just at the tail end of the bully, the beginning of the bullying campaigns, I should say, like at the very beginning of it. Because back in my day, not to sound old, but bullies performed a function. They toughened you up. There were some that went too far. That's true. And generally, the kids ended up banding together and taking them down. That's how it worked. You only let a bully go so far before you just stop caring and just start swinging. Not that I'm advocating for violence. There are other ways to take out bullies. To take them down, shoot. One of the worst bullies in junior high, I never even lay a hand on him, and he got suspended. Right? And we were told just to man up. Man up, stand there, take the blows. But if you stood up to the bully, they generally backed off. Even if you did take a few swings. I mean, there was one bully in my school. You know, I was 5'5", 5'6". He was 6 foot. He was 6 foot something. He was taller than 6 foot. I know that. He was tall. I literally had to walk up him. Oh, there were massive disregard of mental health. And I think we swung too far the other way. Exactly. You know, I mean, a lot of these people don't understand that bullies themselves are often bullied at home. I mean, that's the realistic thing. So when you show that strength, that inner strength to stand up to them and to keep standing up to them, sometimes it takes multiple times. You know, the one bully I had, you know, the 6 foot guy, when I finally had enough and ran up him, like literally I walked up him, stepped on his foot, stepped on his knee, stepped on his belt, and punched him to the ground. When I had enough. We ended up becoming friends. You know, but I also know that I'm lucky, that there's something in me that just has no quit. I don't give up. Jesus. See, now that's going too far. You know, and that's somebody that would have ended up with a knife somewhere that unpleasant if they tried that with me. Because even in school, and I know it's illegal now, but even in school, I carried a pocket knife because it wasn't illegal back then. Everybody had a pocket knife. You know, and... or they mess with the wrong person and end up suffering the consequences of their actions. I mean, years after high school, I went to a local bar that I played pool at. And 5 of my high school bullies decided to try and get back at me. It didn't go well for them because I stayed in shape. You know, I was working hard jobs. I still kept up on my martial arts back then. I mean, shoot, my wife and I would spar. You know, because she was into martial arts too. You know, she took Taekwondo. Yeah. That happens. You know, mine, 5 of them decided to come at me. You know, we took it outside. They ended up in these wood bins at the back of the restaurant or bar. They're not going to solve any problems. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will advocate for your right to defend yourself, but know why you're getting it. That should be your last resort. Yeah, but the problem is that when people fight in groups, they're idiots. Oh, we're just talking about bullies, T-Row. And Infinite, nobody wants to face me one-on-one. Exactly. You know, you can't let them beat you. You can't let them defeat you. You know, I mean, bullies are bullies. They always will be. That's just who they are. It's what they do. I'd lose. Well, actually, no, I probably wouldn't lose. Because gorillas aren't naturally aggressive. Gorillas don't naturally attack people. They're actually naturally gentle. So as long as I'm not aggressive towards them, they're fine. Well, that would be, most of my yearbooks, I think I was moved around too much. See, that was where I ran into problems. Is that I was always the new kid. So everybody always had to try and take me out. Because I was the new kid, I was kind of pudgy, but I was tall. But they didn't realize I was a football lineman. course I'm going to look fat. You know, I mean, I also didn't do it for that long. I think I only did it for like a year and a half. You know, basically 2 school years. But I also tried to keep up on it. I mean, up until I was in my 30s, I kept doing, running the 40s. You know, just trying to keep my sprint speed up. Yeah, I mean, well, but everybody has a story like that. I mean, even popular kids got bullied. See, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is that there's always a bully for your bully. There's always somebody catting behind their back, you know, being catty speaking behind their back or doing something like that. It's a lot more equal than people want to give credit to. You know, there's always a monkey with a bigger banana. You know, and that's really what it comes down to is that it's an animalistic side. I mean, we're kids. We're animalistic. But actually, you know, that'll segue into a good conversation here. What do you guys think about them keep pushing back? It's an actual zoology term. If a small monkey has a banana and the bigger monkey doesn't have a banana, the bigger monkey will take the banana. And it just keeps going until the biggest monkey has the biggest banana. Well, that's terrible. You know, I mean, but how do you guys feel about them removing, you know, most of the adult decisions from an 18-year-old who's supposed to be, you know, an adult now to 21? Yeah, I mean, well, that's why we have to learn to have compassion for others. Even our bullies. You know, there are some people that are irredeemable. But we also have to understand that they have their problems too. They're not just picking on you. It's impersonal. It's not you that pisses them off. I mean, there's a rare occasion there is one, and I had a few. I had one guy that tried to punch me so hard that when I dodged, he broke his arm on the wall. Like, shattered it hard enough that a shard of his bone flew out of his arm and cut me underneath the eye. That guy was trying to kill me. But, yeah, I mean, those aren't real friends. Those aren't real people. You know, I mean, sorry, they're real people, but they're not real friends. If they don't treat you like people, you know, that's wrong. I mean, it's fine if they know I can't do a thing. You know, I understand that. But making plans in front of a person who you know can't do it or you don't want to show up, that's just rude. That's just showing that you're trying to bully them. You know, that's the problem. You know, I mean, we have a lot of people that, because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel big because it means somebody else in their life tears them down. You know, that's the problem. Is that most people don't understand, don't have the knowledge, sympathy, empathy, not to, you know, but they want to feel better than someone because they don't feel good. That knowledge literally saved me a whole lot of bullying. When you realize that how they pick on you is a direct reflection on their insecurity. So them making plans and like with EXO, them making plans. Well, okay. Well, I'm kind of ruin that idea right now, Infinite. So what they're doing to EXO's little explanation here. Actually, we're very simple. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, of course. That's horrendous. Because we're not making them accountable for their actions. And this is what I was going to say about, you know, moving the goalpost for what it means to be an adult. I mean, you're still tried as an adult after 18, but they've removed almost all of your choices away. Most places you can't buy beer, you can't buy, you know, alcohol, you can't buy cigarettes, you can't. Oh, Exactly. So why is yeah. Yes, that crime in England, I guarantee you that's the one she's talking about. See, and England has a very different crime mentality than we do. I mean, apparently in some places they have roving gangs, of literal junior high kids, literal hooligans. And I'm just like, junior high kids? Well, in my personal opinion, okay. So, are you guys aware of what it takes to domesticate an animal? What physiological changes happen when you domesticate? There was a study done with foxes, and they were starting to domesticate these foxes. And the more docile, the more ones that you would more likely have as a pet, started maintaining the look and feel of the puppy. The curly tail, it didn't straighten out. The ears would start getting like a little flop to them. The things we think of as puppies, they would retain these into adulthood. So, hear me out. This is actually kind of, going to my point. And now we're pointing out at how young people look now. You look at like my dad's age. You look at his yearbook and you would think that he was a 40-year-old guy. Only it was his yearbook photo. He was graduating high school. He was 18. Right. It goes both ways. That's exactly correct. Now think about this for a second. So we're noticing how kids today don't look as old as kids 30, 40 years ago. And we're also saying that kids are less mature than they were before. Like the brain doesn't actually mature until they're 25. I wonder if you do that same study, go all the way back, if we could go back in time to the baby boomers who looked, in their 40s graduating high school. Or they look like what a 40-year-old looks like now graduating high school. Were they not mature enough? I guarantee you their brains were more mature than at 18 than our 18-year-olds are now. We're literally domesticating humans. We're literally taking all the adult decisions away from them so that by the time they reach adulthood, they don't know what it means to be an adult. They haven't suffered the consequences of their actions. Right. If you go to war, you should be able to drink and smoke, do whatever. You're an adult. If you're old enough to vote, you're old enough to do these things. That's BS that you're removing adult decisions away, but we also need to hold them accountable for their decisions. Oh, but we took the drinking age up to 21 because kids were killing themselves by driving drunk. That's consequences of actions. I'm sorry. Yes, people will die, but people already die. You keep moving that bar, they're going to keep dying. 25-year-olds are dying now, from over drinking. Because now it's uncontrolled. Because they're doing it between, the ages of 18 and 21. I hate to put it those terms, but yeah, survival of the fittest. Well, but see, it sounds scary, the wild dogs being turned into more wolf-like, but wolves are less. It's true. It is true. And we've interfered with Darwinism. We've interfered with this, but we're not willing to understand the consequences of interfering with this. I'm not saying that, might makes right. That's not at all what I mean. But if you're going to take away consequences of actions from people, they're not going to understand that there are consequences, and you will have increasingly unruly behavior. Behaviors will still go to destructive means, more and more destructive. They will seek out the forbidden. They will find the limits of their borders. What does it take to actually have any of this stuff? Where does the limits of the discipline lie? And the further and further you make excuses, oh, they're just kids, the more and more kid-like they're going to act. It's the whole thing like, oh, boys will be boys, and boys get in trouble. Boys doing stupid shit. Well, that's a societal problem because you're letting them do it. You hold them accountable. The rich, why do you think the rich go out of hand? Because you're not holding them accountable. You're fining them, I heard the story about, this guy went on a date with a lady. He's this rich dude. And they're walking from one place to the next, and he's carrying his drink open on the street. And she's like, oh, no, you can't do that. And he's like, oh, no, it just cost me $250 to carry my drink from one place to the next. And that's only if a cop shows up. Because that's a ticket. To him, it's now he can afford to do that. Yeah, we do have adult babies. And it starts with social media. I mean, I just saw a news report of, 13, 14, and 11-year-olds in San Francisco twerking on cabs. And they just let the kids go because they're kids. Kids will be kids. This unruly nature of stuff is just going to hurt people. And it's not just, the rich are doing it too. It's not just everybody. We're taking the consequences away from the rich. Not to bring up another hot button subject, but look at this list. Look at the list that everybody's not looking at, that we don't have access to, even though we do, and we've seen it, and we know there's a list, and yet we keep being told it's not. But now they're talking about, getting Miss Maxwell pardoned. Well, we do have laws. See, hello there. There is laws. We're not enforcing them. And I don't think physical action would work. Like beatings or spankings or whatever. No. No, what you need to have is physical labor. Hey, if we're going to lose all these, people in agriculture, make the kids work it. Make them work off their punishments. That's what we used to do. Kids would have summer jobs, pick berries, work on farms, hay and bale. When I was a kid, that's what the summer jobs were. If you were lucky, you got a fast food job. Yeah, I'm just saying, that's what we got to do. Well, we have community service things. There is plenty of community service actions that we can put into effect. Just to be perfectly honest, I think, actually sending these kids to gulags would actually make it worse. Because then they get together. Then they talk among themselves. You really want to punish some of these guys? Isolate them. Put them in a place where they don't know anybody. Take away their reinforcement in these behaviors and give them reinforcement in positive behaviors. Give them civil jobs. Make them a bagger at a local grocery store. Make them a gas station attendant. Sure, people say, oh, well, they'll abuse it. It's like, well, but they're also learning a skill. Give them something to do, because large part of, teenagers being rambunctious is because they don't have anything to do. They don't have any discipline. And I don't mean discipline as in, physical discipline. I mean like mental discipline. So teach them discipline. How to discipline themselves. Why do you think people have such a hard time, with TikTok, Instagram, the short form media and getting off of it? Because we don't have mental discipline. We're trained to look at these things. No. Maybe. No. I mean, unless you want it. Anyway. I mean, there is good evidence that the best government there ever was. You and Ghost, huh? You have a foot thing too, huh, Gossip? Just seeing feet everywhere? But right. Oh no, you're fine. Well, yeah, because we're not trained to. You know, it's not, we can turn it off. We can walk away. But see, there's another insidious thing. Push notifications. When somebody you follow, somebody you do, does something, guess what? Oh, I've got to look. True. Yeah, but I have bad eyesight too. And well, I'll be frank with you, Gossip. I thought they were feet initially too, and I was a little confused. I just was making fun of you, but I mean, to be honest, I saw feet as well. But yes, they're fists. See, Jade thought they were feet as well. They're fists. I think Hello There may have a foot fetish. They're just secretly saying it's fists. Of course, the long toes would be wrong. But, I guess to expand on everything is that, with censorship, with all of this stuff, we're making our choices not matter. We're letting our choices be done by somebody else. That's the bigger problem, is that people think they can get away with it. That they can take away our decisions. And unfortunately, largely, they're right. See, there's feet. Society keeps letting others make their decisions for them. Only if Ghost were here. We need to take away the idea that we should be allowed to make decisions for other people. Now, in certain cases, there is reason, legal issues. You need to be able to take away certain citizens' rights when they violate others' rights. But we also need the punishment to fit the crime. Right now, our main punishment is just to isolate people into a prison. That doesn't make any sense. What are you teaching them? How are you supposed to make them better? What is a prison doing? Like, what's its purpose? What's its job? Honestly, I think we need to, if we're going to have prisons, we need to turn them into schools. Use those prison libraries. Make those people actually learn. Make them do something. You're letting them sit there and rot. Enforce an education on them of some kind or another. Right. So you institute some mental discipline. That's... Oh, I know. I know, T-Row. I've been there myself. Not an actual prison guard, but I did help with transport a time or two. But that was like filling in when I was with security work. Like, I literally a time or two. And, that's one of the first prison reforms you should do. And I'm not talking work gangs. I mean, Like, actually make them sit there and go through classes, because obviously they didn't learn something. You know, educate them on their own crimes, the consequences of them. You know, I mean, and also, I mean, punishing somebody unilaterally for certain crimes, even though they have very different egregious natures. You know, punishing theft. Well, why did the person need to steal? They were poor. So teach them a skill to learn. Like, yeah, still put them in prison, but teach them a skill. Teach them a way to, let's not dehumanize them. Hello there. They are still humans. Just because they forgot how to be human doesn't mean they aren't human. We all forget it at a time or two. You know, I mean, this is the same thing with everything. Everything I generally talk about, it's everyone's a human. Treat them as such. Yeah. Like I said, they forgot. But what do you expect, T-Row, when all they're allowed to do is be locked up? Oh, exactly. An educated populace reduces crime. This has been proven time and time again in history. Education is the first step in reducing poverty and reducing crime. The only problem is, people dehumanize them. That's why they act like animals. You treat them human, guess what? A lot of them start acting human. And that's why I'm saying, be careful. Be careful on how you treat other people. If you dehumanize them, they will act like an animal. You know, that's my one major problem with society today. We dehumanize out of nature. And I think it's wrong. I think we need to learn better. Even I need to learn how to treat more people as human, because my knee-jerk reaction is to cut them down and dehumanize them. But we need to teach them what it means to be human again. Oh, yeah. No, and I'm not degrading anybody. I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. Please understand that. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to have us all look at who we are and how we treat people, how we treat those among us. You know, they often say, you know, to know the strength of a country is to look how they treat their lowest individuals. And frankly, it's so hard sometimes. Oh, geez. Yeah, I couldn't do it. You know, I liked working security work. You know, I never wanted to be a cop. I never wanted to go into corrections. And when they started making our security force act more and more like cops or like corrections officers, I wasn't there for it. I quit. Because our job was to prevent crimes. Our job was to prevent problems, be a deterrent, not to welcome it in and then crash in. It's the thing that I don't like about how we do. Oof. It's the thing I don't like about how they do the police forcing. They wait for a crime to happen, not try to stop a crime from happening. Because it means more to them to, all right. It means more to them to get the ticket than to stop the ticket from ever happening. I preferred to prevent things from happening. And I'm not talking about some Minority Report bullshit of, prevent, future crime and all that. No, but I mean, we used to have cops that walked beats. Right? We used to have cops that actually had to be part of the neighborhood. They were beholden to the people on their beat. They had to treat them properly, so the people would treat them properly. I mean, it was a equal measure thing. They got to know the cop, and the cop got to know the people, so they had a personal relationship. We took that away. We don't have cops that walk beats anymore. The unequal care in certain areas just gets to me. One, I also think that we're America, goddammit. Why does each city, why does each, county, why does each all have their own individual little police forces? Why do we not have a national level police medical force? And especially in today's modern age with more mental issues than we have any need to have. I mean, my God. Right. Oh, why is healthcare private? Right? Why do we let every state have its own little fiefdoms? I mean, why do we have all these little different special things that they all do? Like, why do I have to learn whole new laws when I go to a different state? Why is there no uniformity in the United States? Why doesn't a driver's license work the same in California as it does in New York? Why do they have different laws, different rules for transportation when all the roads connect? This is getting ridiculous. And yes, that means that, big government can, change everything, but we know how inept big government is. We know how slow they move. I would much rather have big government and their inept, slow-moving ways dictating the changes than small mobile forces that can get ahead of the laws and act ahead of the laws that would stop them. If that makes any sense. I realize that sounds kind of contradictory, but what I mean is how medical practices go against the law in some places. Yeah. Oh, God, how much? Because I know when I saw one that was built near me, where I used to be, not here. Oh, yeah. And I'm thinking of the one that was built like years and years ago. 60. That is a lot of money. And see, that goes for a whole nother thing to me. Why is sports taught in school? Why is public education beholden to sports? When it has nothing to do with education. When it's literally, 10% of the school population use it? Yeah. I mean, the one I knew was only like 13 or 15, but 62 million, 15 luxury suites for what? For viewing the high school team? That sounds shady AF. Well, yeah, but I mean, why teach sports in school? If it's about money, sports cost school a lot of money. I don't give a crap. Let them go to Little League. Let them go to, like, actual recreational basis. It shouldn't be taught in school. I think sports has way too much stranglehold on the American public. My college has 7 buildings for the football team, plus the one they're building right now after destroying the school's building. Yeah, this makes no sense. Why are they doing this? Why is sports such a big deal? And I'll tell you why. Bread and circuses. It's what Rome ran on. When everything was bad, no, it's not money. It's control. It has nothing to do with the money they earn. In fact, the average sports teams lose money. You guys know that? It costs more money than to run a sports team than they pull in. I played football. This is coming from a guy that played football in high school, and I thought it was BS. I only did it to impress my parents. My family made it to 2 games out of the 2 years I played in school. And I was one of the best damn players on my JV team. In fact, I would have been varsity if we didn't already have some seniors that were graduating that were better than me. And any other time, I would have been varsity. Not that that matters now. I mean, please understand, I'm not saying, that matters now. But the idea of sports is to distract. They're gladiators. It's so the people don't revolt. They don't realize the excesses that are being spent around them that could be used to better everyone's lives, not just a few. That's the important thing, is that we need to teach people that sports is actually very bad for your health, your mental health, your physical health. How many people get concussions from even playing baseball? Concussions can go for years before something just snaps and make you bad. Or one concussion can change your personality. I saw it happen. If people want to do it, take it out of school. Have specific colleges that's all they teach is sports fitness. But don't call it an education. Yeah. I mean, who knows what damage went to me? I was a friggin' lineman. I was smacking my head on everything. That was part of my job. And Rando, I swear to God, don't even say it. I realized what I said after it came out of my mouth, man. Nine Tails, I was lucky that I wasn't, actually injured. And yes, that is football. Yeah, rugby's even worse. Yep. Sorry, I'm reading. Oh yeah, you should worry about, your little brother playing football. I mean, the fact is that football's not really that healthy of a sport. It's softball. I mean, I don't care. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Cryptic? How you doing? Right. Sports is so insane. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think people should play sports, but play it for fun, not for a job. Not so they can sit there and, that's their focus. That's their future. Well, why don't you sleep more? Baseball is somewhat more safe, but not really, because they have such a longer schedule. Remember, each baseball game is actually, 3 games. Well, best 2 out of 3. Well, what's even funnier is that in my sports days, it's funny because, you had adults that would sit there and start, screaming and yelling, and I was the water boy on the varsity team. Long story short, it was because I recently moved. And they didn't want to get in trouble for recruiting kids out of other school districts again. Again, at the school I went to. So, you'd start hearing these, guys from other towns screaming, yelling. I just stand up, look at them. They'd stop. Oh, tennis is, all the sports are dangerous. We like watching a physical challenge, yes. Boxing is one of my favorite sports, but it's also one of the most destructive. I think they should ban parents from drinking alcohol at sports games. Especially, Little League games. They should not be drinking alcohol around those children. You want to talk about protect the kids? You're just showing kids to associate sports with alcohol. Yeah, I don't know either. I know at, school games, they don't. Yeah, it's bullshit. And just think about how many friggin' sports riots there are in various countries. It's not in any single country I'm going to point to. It just depends on the sport that they riot about. Most countries only have one sport that they're all behind. Well, it's not just especially soccer. Soccer is just the one we hear about, or football, depending on where you're from. But in America, American rules, and in Canada, hockey riots are insane. In America, football riots are insane. Gridiron. American rules. In Australia, rugby riots are insane. We point at soccer. Yeah. Take all the rules of soccer, put it on ice, and make sure that they play like they're in football. That's ice hockey. Well, I'm lucky that I had basically, really weird knees. Right? Because guys tried to cut block me, which is when you go try to take them out at the knees. I could literally dislocate my knees, stand up, pop them back into place, and be ready to play. That didn't work with them. They tried taking me out of games. Now, I'll say that I have suffered a lot because of that now, but not nearly as much as I should have. But yeah, I still can dislocate my knees. I don't like to because it hurts. But I can dislocate them and put them back in. Slip them right in and out. The idea is grab your leg, plant your foot flat on your chest. Oh, yeah, you can get really hurt playing hockey. Kicking somebody. And also high sticking. Well, but most athletes will tell you they don't see that 15 million. A lot of that gets, yeah. Yep. A lot of these athletes are playing for 1 and 2 million that they actually receive of their 15 million a year check. Because a lot of it has to be reinvested. It's a scam. Most athletes make more money off of sponsorships than they ever do any from their paycheck. Yeah, I've literally seen that happen in hockey matches. And I don't understand the obsession at all with sports. You can take the tamest friggin' office worker nerd, but if he likes sports at all, he goes insane. These guys scream, cry, throw up about, a missed field goal or a missed swing. I don't even know who that is. I don't know who Deshaun Watson is. And whoever's getting paid $230 million to play sports, who's ever paying them is money laundering. Because that's what I really think is happening with sports teams. Yes, I will allow it. Watch with the aggression, T-Row. I'm joking, by the way. I know what you're doing. Okay, it auto-moderated because it wanted to make sure that you weren't talking about somebody in chat. Oh, yeah. Well, think about the most popular kids' movies of all time have all been sports-related. Air Bud. And this series of sports he played. Jesus. Now, is that confirmed? I hate to say that, but, you know, is that the gossip, or is that, I'm not talking to you, Gossip Girl, or has that been confirmed and he just paid him off? Because, I mean, I don't want to be spreading, you know, this misinformation. Okay, so he's settled. So he couldn't have won. So, yeah, my assumption would be there then, yeah, that he did something. You know, if you're not willing to go to bat and fight, I can't trust you. Because if you're not wanting to go to court over that, especially that, and clear your name, that just means you're dirty. And that might mean that there's more behind the scenes. You know, you don't want, because every law case has what's called discovery. And in discovery, they can find more crimes to charge you for. So maybe it wasn't the sexual assault that he wanted to cover up, but something else that he was covering up. You know, a lot of people don't understand the vagaries of how that works. You know, discovery is a big deal, especially if it's a criminal case. But I mean, that's why, you know, CoffeeZilla, Logan Paul, why those cases are taking forever is because of discovery. And Logan Paul is like sweating bullets. Jeez. Now, maybe he settled because he couldn't fight them all at once and actually, you know, win, because all it would take is one loss to destroy his name. But see, and that's where the MLB, NFL, you know, all of these big divisions really need to see who represents them. And that's their sports stars. You know, they really need to understand that these people represent your sport. And these are the kind of people you're going to let in. I don't know. You know, it's why I hate sports. As a general rule, I hate sports because it is so rigged. And, you know, people can complain and all, you know, like, oh, it's impossible to rig. It's like, oh, no. You don't have $230 million riding on a story. Oh, no, you're fine. No. I brought up sports. You don't have $230 million riding on one person without having it rigged. Unless you're a terrible businessman. Or unless you're doing something else, which is why I think it's money laundering. Because everybody that runs a sports team, whether it's esports, whether it's motorsports, whether it's the physical sports, they all lose money. One season of his contract. Jeez. Yeah, you see what I mean? Dude, it was fun. It was fun. We played Bigfoot, and it was goofy as hell. We almost killed Bigfoot. We got him down to like, what was it? 2018 health, somewhere in there. 16. All right, there you go. So close. So close. Yeah. All we needed was just a few more shots. The way my character was shooting, it would have been only taking like 3 more shots to kill him. But he killed me instead. It was fun. But see, you know, sports is such a touchy topic because you start talking bad about sports and people get, it probably is. Yeah, that Bigfoot game. Yes. Yeah, that terrible abandonware Bigfoot game that is still fun to play because it's so broken. I mean, it very well might be rigged in some way or another. I'm just saying, I don't really know. I know people have actually beaten Bigfoot. I know you can kill him, but man, it is tough. Very tough. But, you know, sports is a touchy subject. People get really heated about their sports. And I think it's ridiculous. Yep. Bigfoot kind of warped into the building we were in. I was shooting him outside, and then all of a sudden he was inside. But I think he was stunned by what he did because he was confused on how it happened. I mean, I had fun for the first time I ever played it. I'd never played that game before. I don't know. It's just stupid fun. Playing video games with buddies. But sports is so... I mean, we know boxing's been rigged. For a long time, boxing was rigged, and they've tried to do everything they can. But it's so difficult. You know, people were saying that sumo used to be the cleanest sport until it came out that it really isn't clean. You know, there was a lot of rigging going on there. I have... they were on sale on Steam not too long ago, and I have those. I plan on finishing out Scarlet Hollow and start doing one of the Dark Anthology. I really want to start with The Devil in Me. But being that's the newest one, I don't know if I really want to... Or not newest, but that's like... I want to save that one for closer to Halloween. Little Hope. I haven't played that one yet. I haven't even seen anybody play that one. I haven't even seen somebody finish, you know, Devil in Me. So I don't even know how. Yeah, I want to play every one of them too. And I have at least everything that was on sale. I'm actually surprised I haven't seen another one. Maybe, I hope they're going to do more. Ah, okay. I'm sorry. But I schedule, you know, hello there. I schedule around other streamers' schedules, so I'm not interfering with them. You know, or I schedule around time for with my family. You know, I do, right? I'm ready for her. You know, so it's really hard for me to reschedule, but, you know, the 3 to 4 on Wednesdays is guaranteed. You know, originally, that whole idea was so Cryptic and Ghost could pop in and we could all talk and do stuff, but lately they haven't been able to. Right? Yeah, I know. School's going to be starting weird. Yeah, which is why I started the 2 to 4 stream. Yeah, Saturday nights I will be on. Friday's fine too. Right? Yeah, I am all for losing some heat. This summer has been like, I don't mind heat, but the rain, then the heat. Rain, heat. You are that best? The best. Got it. Well, I don't know if I'm the best. My headphones were a little loud. That was loud in my ears. No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure. Again. Again? Well, it's the fact that... I'll wait. It's only 15 seconds, so. It's not so much the heat or the humidity. It's the fact that it would rain and then get hot right afterwards.
Amazing. Mission complete. That right there is why you're the best, boss.
Oh, you're fine. I'm not complaining. I like the Epic Boss music, or else I wouldn't have it there. I don't even remember what I was talking about before that. Oh, yeah, scheduling. You know, I schedule around. I like to talk to people. I like to play some games, but I like to play games that I can pause or that I'm not really intensely in, so I can pay attention to chat, so I can talk to people. You know, I mean, if I'm not talking to you, what's the point of what I'm doing? If I'm not able to respond. Right? Well, I like to make most of mine. The Epic, you know, the sound alerts, I haven't made my own yet other than the jump scare. And I find that one hilarious because that's literally from one of my streams. That is me making that noise. I don't even know why that doesn't work. I literally have points activated or whatnot. I don't know how any of this stuff works. I'm really sorry. You know, I don't know how to make this stuff work properly. Because as far as I know, I think slots is what I have activated. But if you don't have any points, I don't know if you can use your game. You know, I don't understand how this stuff is supposed to work. Nobody's quoted me. Well, yeah, I mean, I know I have this stuff. I'm surprised I haven't been quoted yet. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think anybody has any points or anything, and I don't know how to make it work. The casino on your birthday? Why would you want to gamble your casino money or your birthday money? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm coming after them feats. I like toe cheese. I'm sorry. I don't know, you know. Oh, God. Okay, yeah, if you're going to casinos for the buffets, those are good. Thank you for your odd meat, sir. I don't actually try not to be quotable. There you go. No one has quoted me. Well, I grew up, you know, partially. I mean, I keep saying grow up. But, oh, no, you're fine. I was partially raised in northern Nevada, but every other weekend we would go to Reno. And so, I mean, I partially grew up around, you know, casino buffets. Well, Cryptic, isn't it breakfast time there? Go get some breakfast. Ain't nothing wrong with getting breakfast. Get some waffles. What, 6 in the morning? No, yeah. I think it's about 6 in the morning for him. 6:30. I could be wrong. Deep South. Hey, I was right. I remember correctly, Cryptic. Woohoo! I'm getting the hang of this. I love mac and cheese. And I love, make a regular pot of mac and cheese, but instead of using milk, just put in the same amount of milk you would have to put, but use sour cream. It makes it like that same kind of texture of Velveeta with better flavor. Like use sour cream or a yogurt, depending. You know, I mean, that kind of stuff. It's, ooh, biscuits and gravy. Actually, this last Sunday, the wife made biscuits and gravy. That was good. With orange flavoring. Okay. Brownies with orange that might be pretty good. I don't know why, but I don't like sweet biscuits. Ha! Hello there. That might be getting a bit personal. I think there's only one person across the pond. I think Cryptic right now is the only one I have across the pond. There's a few that show up occasionally, but... Yeah, I was going to say, I think that the orange flavoring would be too volatile. See, what I think I would have done is take, like, white chocolate chips and mix the orange flavoring into white chocolate chips, like melt it down and stir it in, and make a frosting for the brownies. And I think you'd get a better punch out of the orange flavoring that way. It's actually one of the reasons why I miss like the old frozen concentrate orange juice, because I used to make this orange chicken using that. Oh. See, I always use white chocolate chips to carry flavor, because I think by themselves they're just kind of bland and boring. But if you add like almond flavoring to white chocolate chips as you melt them down, so good. And the reason why, melt it down and then pour it on top of the brownies is so you get that crack, because it's not really a frosting, it's, the chocolate chips. Oh yeah, the wife just made chocolate chip, butterscotch chip, peanut butter cookies with coconut in them. So good. Right? Exactly. See? You get it. Ooh, your Papa birthday cake, huh? That's cool. I get over it. Yeah, CT's awesome. Yeah, just so you guys know, he released a new video last night. It's really good. Over on his YouTube. Where is it? Oh, come on. Fine. There we go. Sorry. Trying to get something done. So, if you want a really good narration, there you go. Now, don't worry, it's not a sketchy link. It just takes you to YouTube to CT's video that he released yesterday. It's a good narration. I actually find the story itself absolutely fascinating. Yes, I've heard it before, but CT's narration of it I thought was actually pretty brilliant. Did a wonderful job on it. Hey, man, gotta talk up my friends, especially when they're worth talking up. So if you guys get a chance, it's only, I can't remember how long it is, but it's around 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes at most. Well done. he's trying a new thing to see if people like it, and I think it's worth doing, and I want to encourage him to do more of it. Yeah, 7 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I knew it wasn't very long, but it's worth listening to. It's well done. A sketchy link. Come on, it literally says YouTube in the link. You know where it's from. You know, and it's just going to skim your credit card numbers as it goes through. No big deal. You know, I won't use them. I promise. I just like having blackmail on people or something. Yeah. Well, you know, my birthday is coming up, so I am really excited. So, as you guys know, tomorrow I won't be on. I am taking tomorrow off, but I will be back Friday. Well, of course I am. 2 days. No, I'm taking tomorrow off. I will be back Friday night. And then I'm taking Saturday off. I will be streaming on my birthday. Because I got nothing better to do, because all the plans for, you know, my birthday stuff is the weekend. So tomorrow, well, I'm sorry, not all my birthday stuff. Tomorrow is also my birthday stuff, because I'm going to go see my friends. I'm going to chill with them. We're going to goof. We're going to have fun. And then I got to come back, and I'll be home Friday. I'm going to stream Friday night. Then I'm going to take Saturday night off, and I won't be back until next Tuesday. I mean, unless people don't want me to stream on Friday night, that's fine. I will. I always do. I just wish I could visit more often, but with, well, it's a bit of a drive, because you're at least in, I mean, I am going east. Yeah, my birthday's going to be Friday. August 1st. I'll be 46. I was born in 1979. I'm old. Yeah, my wife already got me a couple of great things. Well, okay. Compared to some. I've already got a great kitchen knife, a good vegetable cleaver, which I absolutely love. And a cooking pan, because I do actually like to cook. I may not be good at it, but I do enjoy to cook. I mean, I'm the worst cook in the house. And it's just me and my wife. Not to say I'm bad, it's just I have stiff competition. But she got me this. Yes, I know I can cook. I'm being facetious. She got me this cool. It's like styled like a wok, but I like wok, but it's got two handles rather than one big. But tater is better. Ain't gonna. If numbers are infinite, I am not old. I don't feel old. I mean, I actually feel younger now than I felt probably 15 years ago. I was a lot more out of shape back then, too. You know, I was going on close to 400 pounds. And I've done quite a bit. And I mean, I just can't seem to get below 300. We're just there. Well, yeah, I mean, and who knows what medical advances are going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years. You know, old or young, it may not matter before too long, because the numbers may not matter. I mean, we're getting pretty close to cloning your actual organs to replace them. The only limit, I think, to age in the next, probably 100 years, I think is as far out as it is. The next 100 years, I think the only limit will be brain. Keeping your brain young. Finding a way to do that. Because it is the one organ I don't think we'll ever be able to replace properly. But I also could be very wrong. I wish I could. I'd share some of my weight with you. Because, I mean, I'm just hovering around 305 to 310. I can't seem to get below 300. I have a buddy the same way. He can't gain weight. I wouldn't give away 100 pounds. I don't think I'd look too good at, 210. I'm 6'4", 6'5", depending. If I dropped, down, extra 100 pounds, like, no, I don't. I'm just shooting for like 280. That's about where I want to put the limit. And I'm trying. I'm getting there. But this last little bit has been real tough because your body wants to stay a certain weight the longer you're at a certain weight. It's actually one of the reasons why people fight weight loss so much, is because the body has an equilibrium it's used to. Jesus, you're 80 pounds? Okay, 6 foot at 315. Yeah, because we're about the same weight. What? Well, I don't think you meant 60 years old. It's like, Jesus, hello there. You do need to gain some weight. Like, really, that just kind of hit me all of a sudden. Like, 80 pounds? I mean, unless you're like 80 pounds. Okay. Well, if he was saying give you 100 pounds, so you were adding 100 pounds to the weight, so it made me think that you were only 80 pounds. It's like, what, are you 4'1"? I mean, I get being underweight. I've known people like that. In fact, oddly enough, I was a runt when I was real young. I was underweight. All right, Cryptic. I was, up until I hit 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that. I was a scrawny runt, like super underweight. Like my head was huge compared to my size. And then all of a sudden, puberty hit and I exploded. I went up to like 5'4" or 5'5". By the time I was 12, I was 200 pounds. All right, man. But then I just kind of plateaued and I got to be... All right, man. You have a good night. Hello there. Hello there. Good night. And then, like, I plateaued again in junior high. I wasn't the tallest. I wasn't the shortest. And then when I went to high school, like, I had shot up 4 inches to 6 foot between... I think it was at least 4 inches. Because it was 4 inches because I was 5'8" when I left junior high. Freshman year, I was 6 foot. By the end of high school, I was 6'3". No, I had to be shorter than that because it was 6 inches I grew. So I had to be like 5'6" when I left junior high. And I shot up like 6 inches in the summer between high school and junior high. So, I mean, I did have one huge growth spurt. Yeah. I was probably pretty close to 380 to 395. I may have been 400. I didn't have a scale. About 10, 15 years ago when I was homeschooling the kids. I wasn't doing as much as I should have. It just, I ballooned. It happens. Now I'm trying to, get up, walk around more. I mean, that's why, every hour I get up, I walk around. Right. Getting older does it. Your metabolism slows down. You have to learn how to stop eating even though you think you're hungry. Just pay attention to how many calories you had. I mean, if you had a sweet treat, know that you're going to, probably go to bed hungry. Well, there's that. That's kind of what I'm afraid of. Man, I just realized at the end of this, I'll have streamed 7 hours today. 2 to 4, almost 3 hours with Ghost, and then another 2 hours on top of it. So it's 7 hours. Yep. Yeah. Oh, it's not that bad. See, in a long stretch, it would probably be pretty bad. But because between 2 and 4, I took an hour break before I got back on at 5. And then another hour. You didn't try hard enough. You weren't even sitting back sleeping long enough. You barely even tried. To come visit you guys. That's what I'm doing. You guys want to get me something? That's great. If not, if you... What do I want for my birthday? I want to visit my friends. That's why I'm doing it. You guys want to get me something? You know enough about my interests just to grab something. Yeah, it takes a lot longer. See, I practice levels of meditation. Yeah, that's not nearly enough time to try and sleep. That's not even trying. 2 seconds ain't enough. You know it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm not complaining that you're here, but I'm only going to be on for another, 10 minutes. You want to know the trick to, going to sleep? Do math equations in your head when you're trying to sleep. I mean, to be honest, you don't know enough? We know that, Cryptic, but what about? That's exactly why I do it, Gossip, because I don't like math. My brain gets bored and says, fine, I'll go to sleep. Trying to do, I just sit there, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 4 is 8, 8 times 8 is 16, 16 times 16, you just keep, or not times, plus. No, see, you can't take out a calculator. Oh, you don't know enough to bring me a present? You don't have to bring me a present, Cryptic. Your presence is fine. That's a present enough. Your presence. Haha. Yeah, I mean, that's just... I don't expect a whole lot on my birthday other than just having fun. That's the point. I don't do anything I don't want to do on my birthday. Oh, I didn't take that to see, I mean, if you're going, talk to you later, T-Row. I just thought you were asking. I mean, again, I'm only going to be on for another 10 minutes at most. Ah, okay. Ninetales. You know my stats. 6'4", 6'5", 300 plus pounds. My presence is vaguely threatening. People just can get intimidated, and that's people that know me. I mean, let's be honest. Sleepy Brian? Isn't brain spelled the other way? Well, then why don't you just jump on here? I'm always here. 9 to 11. Right. I don't know. I actually haven't looked at it. Name the brain Brian? All right. How close is the Annabelle house? Does it have a house? That's in Connecticut, man. That's a long ways away. You know, what would be the distance from me? Wait, why does it say it's in Connecticut when it's pointing me to Minnesota? What? Make your mind up. So it's a 15-hour drive. Ogren? Yeah, kinda. You're not wrong. I wouldn't call myself super intelligent. That's just experience. Hey, I would go visit. I go, like I said before, I'll go find Robert the Doll and punch him in the face. I'm not afraid of those things. I mean, it's the same thing. Super, hyper, I'm a reasonably intelligent guy, but I've also got a lot of experience. I'm not saying I'm dumb, but I've also done a lot. I'm not afraid of haunted things. I'm not saying I don't believe in them, but I think that, me personally, the more power you give them, the more fear you show them, the more power they have. That's the problem is that the more, you're putting your belief in them. Therefore, they have power over you. If you don't have any belief in them, if you don't have any fear of them, they don't have any power over you. That's just pure and simple what I believe. It's probably one of the reasons why I've never experienced a haunting, even though I believe that they exist. I would go to Skinwalker Ranch and just wander around. I'd love to see Skinwalker Ranch. I'd love to go there because, do I believe everything that's said of it? No, but I believe there's enough strange to at least go look. Just like I'd like to go see the Bennington Triangle. Or just the Pine Barrens. Or just travel the Smokies. I would love to go see some of these places. The old haunted stuff. I've been to some of these places that are supposedly haunted. I had fun. But nothing really happened. I can't remember, but it's some... the Bennington Triangle is an area in Connecticut, Minnesota, Michigan, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's somewhere northeast where strange things happen. Well, see, I want to perform experiments. I want to pump infrasound into a haunted house. They say that that's what causes people, like scientifically, it's just infrasound. It's sound below your ears, that's what's causing you to be afraid of it. Well, why do we have an evolutionary response to be afraid of it? And why specifically does it show us these sights? Why not? Why does it specifically show us these things? Yeah, same. I want to go to the Clown Hotel. But they say infrasound is the reason why we see things at the corners of our eyes, why we have that generally, it's too low to hear, but that general ill feeling around haunted things. Okay, but why do we have that? It's like, okay, earthquakes, but why does it show us things on the edge of our vision? I don't believe that answers everything just because earthquakes have infrasound. There's got to be more to the story. Why do we all see the same things? Again, that doesn't make sense. So there's got to be more to it. Oh, yeah, I've had stuff mess with me when I was a kid, and then I told it to go away, and it stopped. No, the Clown Hotel cryptic is in Nevada, and I've been by it. I wouldn't call it clickbait. What's Site 13? How do I not know this name? What's Site 13? Yeah, I actually, like I said, I grew up partially in Nevada. I've been by the Clown Hotel. I didn't know there was anything to it until much later, until we moved away. But I knew some stories about it. People didn't like it. It was creepy. Oh, okay. The SCP. Got it. I think I will. I don't know if I'll read it on here, but I'll at least read it for my own. There's a lot of things I've missed, and I've tried catching up on. Like most creepypastas, I had no idea. Oh, sorry for your loss, but was she still trying to get you to go to sleep after she died? Now that would be creepy. Well, and that's the other thing. Why is sleep paralysis demons, supposedly sleep paralysis, why is it always depicted as very specific characters? That's my problem is why do all these myths and legends from different disconnected cultures always center around the same thing? The same imagery. The Hat Man. What's even more creepy, Infinite, is if you look into older myths and legends from across the world, they all have their Hat Man. Look at some of the original depictions of Odin. One of the, and we're talking before all the other mythos of Odin. He had, right? Well, and that's the funny part is that, how do I put this? Like, why does the Hat Man keep showing up? Oh, damn. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense why something was messing with you. See, I don't put on a nightlight. Well, but see, that's the problem is why does the Hat Man always have this wide-brimmed hat? Like, why is the depiction so specific? Oddly, also, why does it parallel ancient mythology over Fae? The fairy folk. Again, I can't remember the name of the Fae right now, but there's a huge similarity between the Hat Man and a particular Fae of the Unseelie Court. The Night Court, not the Day Court. Or Winter Court, not the Summer Court. Depending on... I don't wear a hat. I'm bald. I'm balding since I was 18. I was bald before I had kids. I can't even blame it on them. Good. But yeah, it is that time, folks. I hate to do it. I'm having fun, but it is time for me to go. And I will see you all Friday night. You all have a good night, and I'll see you then. No, I'm talking like actual Fae. Like the old Celtic mythology Fae. The fairies, the people under the hill. I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, y'all have a good night. I'll see you Friday. Yes, I will remember that. Yes, be good or be good at it.